let's move on. So let's talk
I
about,
saw this earlier.
You saw this? Okay.
Yeah, you sent this. I was like, nice.
Right. So this is Andrew Klaven, right? Andrew Klaven is one of the dudes, one of the dudes they throw in for you to get a leftist tier mug and sign up for the Daily Wire. He's in the Ben Shapiro sphere.
Yeah, that's how Royce described him months ago. He's one of those guys that Ben was like, okay, look, they're not going to sign up for just me. I got to have like 3 other filler shows. You just needed something for the website to go, look at all these other great, these fine programs here. And then they made Matt Walsh do a show from his car for like months. They wouldn't even let him in the studio.
So this is, I think this might be one of the first times Klavan's talked about Fuentes. I know Walsh has, Klavan really hasn't. So let's see what he has to say.
I really do know how to pick them. And so we're really proud that she has gone on to now be, part of the horrible tyranny that is destroying our country. So let me talk about this thing, the fire on the right, these clowns on the right, the alt-righters, they now...
These clowns on the right.
Call themselves American First Nationalists. And they, I'm going to, for a while I wasn't going to mention his name. This guy, Nick Fuentes, he has a YouTube show and he goes on and he says these outrageous things. And I'll talk about him in a minute.
Disgusting.
Isn't that terrible? Can
It's
you believe
disgusting.
Can you believe they're doing that?
I can't believe this Nick Fuentes fella. He's disgusting.
Somebody says if you squint hard enough, he looks like Dr. Evil.
Michelle Malkin,
I like to think that not only is Israel our greatest ally, but truly, we are their greatest ally. Israel is number one, and Nick Fuentes.
You know, the funny part is
disgusting.
With a lot of these people, as we've shown with Matt Walsh and stuff like that, like they weren't all rah-rah Israel before they got on the Daily Wire. You know, they started getting rah-rah Israel. They started getting rah-rah Israel with when they joined the Daily Wire sphere, when it's like, oh, Israel's the best. Like, we saw tweets of Matt Walsh in 2016 saying that Israel doesn't need our money and blah, 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 blah.
Conservative. I've never met Michelle. I rode in an elevator once and I was too shy to introduce myself. But Michelle Malkin went on and she started to say, I'm not going to disavow Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to disavow the Proud Boys who, another guy I know, Gavin, he runs the Proud Boys, and the Proud Boys are not white nationalists. They're just...
No, they're not. But see, the only reason you say they're not white, the left is calling them white nationalists and you're outraged. You're upset and you're outraged. You are outraged and you're upset and you're mad because Antifa and the left is calling Gavin and the Proud Boys white nationalists. But when you do it to Nick Fuentes, it's totally cool.
Guys, they won't allow women in.
Also, why does Michelle Malkin look like she should be with her boyfriend planning to shoot up a country music festival in Vegas?
Also, I will say this now. I will say that out of all the people that I thought were going to stand up for Fuentes, I didn't see it being Michelle Malkin. Did you?
Yeah.
You did, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
hear me out on
that.
this. She's batshit crazy. And I'm not saying that as a shot on Michelle Malkin. But she is a bit nuts. Like, she has taken some pretty spicy positions before. I mean, again, I always bring up the fact that she's one of the only people that wants, that Daniel Holtzclaw, the cop in Oklahoma that was convicted of raping like every black woman in the city.
Oh, yeah, remember that guy? I remember that.
Yeah, and she's one of the only people who is constantly, I don't know the particulars of the case. I do know it was a pretty fucked up case, but she has been one of the only people that like is saying like free Daniel Holtzclaw and justice for Daniel, and he didn't get tried properly. Yeah, so like
you kind of saw it coming.
I mean, I didn't necessarily see her siding with Fuentes, but I can see her siding with Fuentes. It makes sense.
You
to
think
me.
she's just jumping on the train? You think, or you think she? Nah, I don't think so.
No, because the Daniel
she has people like Crenshaw and stuff going after her now. So it's not just like a it's not just kind of like, oh, you should be allowed to say free speech, but I don't agree. She's like, no, fuck it. She could say what he wants. These are things she should be talking about.
And the Holtzclaw thing was a very controversial opinion. Like that was a stance nobody wanted to take.
Right.
Even people that are lawyers that are like, well, maybe there were some improprieties. Now the case was tried.
Right.
He's one of those guys that does look horrendously guilty here. So it was like, I don't know, man. Like, so I do think that she is principled, at least to the point where that's what I mean by crazy, where she's like, no, this is wrong. Fuck you. No, this is wrong. And you're like, Michelle, you're going to fuck a lot of shit up for yourself.
Dan Bell in the chat says she did a whole episode on CRTV about Holtzclaw.
Yeah. Oof. And that's, I'm sure that people at CRTV were like, you can't do, we're not saying we're against it, but like,
Right.
you couldn't cover anything else. You know, there was a great debate last night, you know, and she's like, no, I'm doing this.
Right.
So yeah, I like her to a certain extent, but she is crazy.
Brawling. Two of them, I think, just got convicted of street brawling. And you say, yes, well, they're fighting Antifa and they are also street brawlers. And that's true. But, you know, guess what? It doesn't matter which street brawler wins because the street brawlers are always essentially fascist. That is a fascist way of producing putting forward your political ideas. So, yeah, if our friends at.
So, like, if you defend yourself, you're a fascist? Like, if somebody hits you and you fight back, is he saying that everybody that gets into a fist fight, even defending themselves, is a fascist? It's weird.
You know, I just have to point out, there's nothing I hate more than the smart guy podcast decorum.
Right.
I need a rich dark wood grain, and I need a globe, and I have to have a globe, and I have to have a couple of books, and it's always the same setup.
Right.
You know, it's like re-education setup, but with less tchotchkes.
At YAF, who arrange a lot of our speeches, Michael's speeches and my speeches, they said they were not going to handle Michelle anymore. And a lot of people started complaining. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at the University of Central Florida giving a speech for YAF and with YAF.
I already see what you're thinking. Royce is going. He's like literally looking up right now.
Yeah, no, this is from 2 days ago, so we missed it.
Yeah. And they canceled her. And a lot of people on the right started screaming about this, saying, you know, this is censorship. This is deplatforming. This is what the left does. But that's simply untrue. I mean, let's begin with this. It's simply untrue that this is censorship in any way. YAF is an organization that puts forward and subsidizes and arranges for
YAF. Young Americans Sunday, they call it YAF because it's cooler.
Yeah, it's YAF. It breathes.
Conservative
They're
voices
sweeping
to
the
speak.
nation.
And we have a lot of different conservative voices. You have Ben, who's a kind of mainstream social conservative. You have Knowles, who's obviously a Catholic fascist. And you have me.
Hey, it's hilarious. It's hilarious when you joke about when other people call you fascist, but when you do it to other people, it's fine.
Who is more on the libertarian side who bellives in
yeah, we got a
separating
couple of
cultural
real
questions into the cultural
fascists working around here at the Daily Wire. Am I right? Nick Fuentes needs to be deplatformed.
and politically
it's just in the same breath, and you're like, okay.
It's ridiculous.
allowing as much freedom as humanly possible. And we have different points of view, but none of us is a racist. Not one of us is a racist. And that's the thing that YAF is talking about. They're saying that's not part of conservatism, racism, anti-Semitism, not part of conservatism. If they were a Christian group sending out Christian speakers and one of them turned out to be a Buddhist, they might say, hey, we don't object to that, but that's not what we're sending out. If they were a Christian agency and they were sending out, and they sent out somebody and they found out he was a Satanist, they might say, no, we oppose that and we don't want you as one of our speakers. So when Michelle Malkin signed on to Fuentes, a guy who has denied the Holocaust on his YouTube show, he has made despicable remarks about Jews on his YouTube show. The kid is like 21.
Can I ask an honest question, though?
Sure.
And I know this is a question everybody always asks all the time, and I know I'm going to get called an anti-Semite for this.
Of course.
Why is it always Jews?
It's weird. I don't know.
It's always, right? Is it just me?
Super weird, right?
Now, Fuentes has been doing content for a long time. The guy's been doing a daily show for a long time. He said a lot of crazy off the wall shit because you're joking. You are making jokes and humor throughout your show. He has said a lot of shit that was very hyperbolic and very, whatever. But he's done it about blacks.
Right.
He's done it about cucked out liberal whites. He's talked about, he's literally bashed a lot of different groups. Chinese people, all this stuff, right? So why do they always circle back to the Holy Grail? Wouldn't you want to be more inclusive, Royce, and say he said this about these people and this? We're all victims of Nick Fuentes in a way.
That's a good point.
It's always he's insulted Jews.
That's a good point because he's talked a lot about other demographic shifts. He's
All
talked
the time.
about
Muslims?
Hispanics, Muslims, black people. He's talked about, and not even like in a Spurg way, but
just talking about it, but also making jokes about it, making the same kind of snarky jokes that he makes about them. But it's always, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of fucking up their own strategy here because they're like, not even trying to do the same thing they do with Trump, which is like, Trump hates everybody, Jews, blacks, gays, women, you know what I mean? They're just going, but he's been bashing us. And it's not really going to make anybody care.
Yeah.
So he hasn't even got a fully formed brain yet, which doesn't happen until you're like 25. And he is.
I know it's old, but can I say it? Okay, Boomer. We know. He's a child.
But by the way, we've levied the same criticisms his way, but in a much less smug way. You know what I mean? We've just said, yeah, he's young, he lacks experience, and he's, you know what I mean? He's going to have to, like, to me, I want to see some wrinkles on somebody. I want to see somebody who's in their eyes, who's experienced pain in their life. That's somebody who's more well-versed. Like, I look at, like, Vince James is more suited to kind of leading people because he's older and he's been through some hell. But this smug way of being like, your brain's not even fully formed, you little shit. Like, It's just smug, dude.
He has said things about blacks that they should stop complaining about segregation.
All right. Well, he did say that. That's good. Good.
It wasn't so bad. I'm laughing because that's such a stupid thing to say.
I don't know. Malcolm X kind of didn't say that specifically, but Malcolm X did say things that if a white person would have said them, you would have said he was racist. Am I correct by that? Malcolm X was saying we used to have our own businesses. We used to have our own culture.
Well, yeah, and that came from, dude, I had an entire conversation years ago with a buddy of mine in Tampa, and I've talked about this on the air before, but he was a Nation of Islam member, and black guy, obviously.
Oh, really?
And
was he Swedish?
But he was a good buddy of mine, and we used to actually have these like long form conversations about shit like that. And he himself said that desegregation was one of the worst things to happen to. He's like, bro, we had Black Wall Street, we had our own businesses, we had our own bus lines. He's like, and the thing was, you go, that's horrible. You had your own separate shit, and it was like, yeah, but we also had our own separate jobs. We had our own separate businesses. We had our own economy, and it killed that. And he goes, once they, desegregated everybody, it became, well, all the white-owned businesses are going to succeed. You know what I mean? So, this.
Look, and by the way, I don't even agree with the segregation was great. I'm just pointing out a comparison that it's not something you can't say, right? Like, it's something that not just Malcolm X, but a few other prominent black people have said, yeah, we had our own stuff. And as soon as that, then we started being forcefully mixed with other things, and our businesses went under. Like, we lost our businesses, we lost our diners, we lost our neighborhoods. So, it doesn't necessarily look, segregation, I personally believe, was fucking terrible. I don't think it was good. I don't think forced segregation was good.
Yeah, of course.
But I do think this. I do think that people naturally, if you take all the outside forces, people do naturally kind of group up together with people in the same culture. Like, that's just what happens. That's a natural thing that happens.
Go to the cafeteria in any jail, in any school, in any workplace. You know what I mean? There's always going to be a couple black people that are like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, they're going to, you know what I mean? And it's not, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? If I go in right now to like, whatever, like back in the day when I had trouble and I had to go to like court and stuff, like you go in, right? And if you don't really know anybody, and let's say there's like a bunch of black dudes there and like 3 white guys,
right?
You go over to the white guys, like, hey, what's up? Like, it's just a natural inclination. And I want to refute another point he makes here. He says, on the one hand, these guys are.
It's Jim Norton.
On the one hand,
he kind of looks like an aging Jim Norton.
On the one hand, I don't want to motherfuck Klavan, and on the other hand, he's such a scumbag. These guys are all dying to get Nick Fuentes kicked off of anything, YouTube, Twitter. If they could legally stick Nick Fuentes in a teeny tiny little trebuchet and shoot him over the wall in Mexico, they would do that. Right. But they're also, in the same breath, he's saying, well, he's young. His brain's not even fully formed yet. Okay, so should we start deplatforming and ruining the lives of every racist babies? Should we start going after racist kindergartners? And ruining their lives?
But this same argument, his boss wasn't his boss sucking Kyle Kashev's dick, 17-year-old, dude younger than Nick Fuentes.
That kid's a genius.
But
he
that's
almost got
exactly
into
my
Harvard.
point. And his brain isn't fully developed yet. Ben Shapiro started writing columns when he was 16. Like, you know what I mean? To say that either pick a lane. Like, I'm kind of with you. I think children are kind of, I think the kids shouldn't be involved in politics. I don't really think so. Like, Nick Fuentes is an adult, by the way. This is different. So now they're pushing the goalpost, saying, "Well, yeah, you're 20, but 25 is actually when you're an adult." So it's like, yeah, but 25 you can rent a car, but it's not until 30 when you have a mortgage, and it's like, well, what is it going to take?
It's very they're like you said, they are moving the goalposts. It's like you want to condemn this guy and have the entire internet gang up on him and kick him off, and on the other hand, he's a child.
Well, let's play it.
And such an they're all so big with their Christianity. It's such an unchristian thing to say. If you can imagine the golden rule, if you would like to have to explain to your child why he can't use a bathroom, why he can't use a water fountain that everybody else is using, and then you can imagine what that's like for somebody else, and you do unto others as you do unto them. Now, the thing is, these guys, these alt-righters or America Firsters, they've developed this strategy of basically saying that they're not for what we think they're for. So Fuentes himself says, no, I do believe there's a Holocaust. I'm just trolling everybody. I don't hate anybody. I'm not looking for a white ethno-nation. I'm just trying to get shock. I'm just trying to shock people so I can get a bigger audience. But that doesn't really wash. It really doesn't wash. I mean,
according to you, though, like you're not. Again, I love these people. They think you're not the final say on that, right?
Well,
it doesn't wash to you. They have followers, right?
Not to him.
Those are
to
things,
his boss.
when you use racial slurs against Jewish people, when you say stupid things like this about something that is, it's a cause of harm and division in our country. The way that black people were treated, they were badly treated. I maintain that.
Is
now
he about to start advocating for reparations?
I don't think so.
Sounds like he's right around that corner.
I don't think so.
Is gone. You're always going to run into individual racism, but that institutional racism, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. It's not funny, and you're doing something wrong. And an organization like YAF, which is trying so hard to overcome the left's brutal and authoritarian and sometimes violent resistance to conservative thought, doesn't want to be tainted with that. It doesn't want to be tainted with that, and neither do I, and neither does Ben, and neither does Knowles. None of us wants to be tainted by this racism and anti-Semitism because we despise it. It's not that, I personally, I don't hate these people. I can't bring myself to hate it. I know that a 21-year-old can be dangerous, but I still can't bring myself to hate somebody for saying this. I just hate what they're saying. I hate what they're saying.
Start doing heroin.
It's against my.
That is what he's going to start tying off.
Yeah, I was saying last week that these kids today, they just don't.
God, it's against the image of God that I love so much in other people, and it just is destructive to the thing that I'm trying to defend, which is your freedom, all of our freedom. And the thing that is kind of ironic about this, and by the way, when it comes to all this white stuff and how great white people are and how bad gay people are and all this stuff, one advantage I have over all these people is I lived in that world.
The gay world? No, I'm really trying to understand. He lived in the gay world?
Or the hating world?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I lived in that world in the 60s when you walked into a bank and there were tellers in a bank and they were all white, when you really didn't see a black person in any of the restaurants that you ate in, and gay people could be arrested. A cop could walk into a gay bar and wait for somebody to make a...
And then suck his dick.
Are you going to stop describing paradise?
Yeah, seriously.
A long-lost paradise that we can't have back?
Why are you talking about heaven?
Can somebody do me a favor, please? Fan request to one of the great creators that watches this show. Can we please take Andrew Klaven and cut this up and make it sound like he supports this world? Because he's describing an ethnos. I want somebody to take what he's doing and cut it up a little bit so it sounds like Andrew Klaven is actually advocating for that. I lived in a time when it was all whites. Can somebody please make me a based video of Andrew Klaven?
Pass at him and then just arrest him for being gay. I lived in that world, okay? I saw it. And, all the stuff about it's looking like Life with Father or Father Knows Best or the Leave It to Beaver show, that's not true, okay? The world is better now.
Royce, the world is far better.
We're literally at the point of, we're basically in the middle of a soft civil war right now. People are being deplatformed. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their children. People are using their legally acquired guns. People are losing their freedom of speech. To sit here and tell me that the world is better now, maybe in the 90s I would have agreed with you.
We have trans toddlers.
Yeah, there's fucking toddlers giving hormones. That wasn't happening in the 50s, not in America.
Global citizen festivals sponsored by banks and celebrities telling you you can't eat fucking... Dude, it's getting out of control. It's absolutely gone like peak retardation. And fuck, man. How is it better? How is it better?
The world has problems now like it had then. It has problems now like
trans toddlers,
but it's better. So, for instance, it's
Do you
wrong.
understand if John Carpenter wrote like about what this future is we're living in now accurately 10, 20 years ago, they would have been like, John, you got to chill the fuck out. Like, your shit's getting really weird. Like, trans kids, we can't have that in a movie. That's insane. It'll never come to that.
It really is. How is it? It's better for you. Here's what it is.
It's better for you.
It's better for you. It's better for the Daily Wire because you guys were having secret little meetings with Facebook. You guys were having the secret little meetings with Susan Wojcicki. You guys have a direct line. For you, it's better. It's not better for everybody it's not better for everyone that is actually trying, that's actually just right now trying to say something that's a little edgy or a little funny or a little whatever. It's not better for them, right? Like, it's not. It's worse, actually.
Horribly wrong for gay people to go and run somebody out of business because he disagrees with them or doesn't want to support their wedding. That's a horrible, horrible thing. But it's better that a young gay man doesn't have to walk into a bar and worry if he tries to have a romantic life that he's going to get arrested for it. That's a better thing. It's better to walk into a restaurant and see everybody there as Americans, as people who believe in the Constitution and the ideals enshrined in the Declaration. Of course it creates problems. Of course it creates problems when we're all in it together. But as long as these people can sign on to the American idea, as long as they can sign on to the American idea, it's better to have us all together because that's how the American idea spreads. That's how we sell it.
I want to see what kind of neighborhood Andrew Klaven lives in. He wants to be together.
If that's the American idea spreads, if that's how we spread it, then why is it 95% of people that are coming here from these countries, from these other places, are not voting conservative? They're voting for people that want to take our rights away. They're voting for people that want to take fucking guns away. They're voting for everything to make life worse. Everyone's excited when a white nationalist gets kicked off. There's people on Twitter that are trying to get people off. Look at fucking Sleeping Giants. Like, you're trying to deplatform people for making money, and it's not better. It's for you because no one's going to take away your Birch Gold live reads. You know what I mean? No one's going to do that to you. So you're fine. You're there in your comfy fucking Daily Wire office having a good time with a makeup lady. You know?
Yeah, they got safely in. They pulled the ladder up, and they're like, no, this is all fine. It's going to be fine. We're the peons outside of the castle. They're inside of the castle. There's an army fucking bearing down on us, and they're telling everybody outside the castle walls. It's going to be fine. This is great. We're all experiencing this together. And you're like, but you're inside the castle. Like, you're not out here. Right. We're going to get stomped out.
Out there. We can't go in with armies. We're not doing that anymore. We're not going to go in and conquer places and say you have to live by the American idea. What we do is we sell it basically through love, by the fact that you come in and it's great. It's great. It's great to not have to wear a burqa. It's great to be able to say what you want to say. It's great to be able to...
Yes, but the people that come in here, the stuff that the Groypers and not just Fuentes, a lot of people, America First people have been talking about, have been, and even Tucker kind of has been doing it, you know, kind of being safe, but he is. What they're talking about is that. They're talking about the people that are coming in here are voting for those things. They're voting to bring burqas back. Look no further than Dearborn, Michigan. If you go to Dearborn, Michigan, it looks like fucking Iraq.
Yeah.
You know, you can't sit here and pretend, or Somalia. You can't sit here and pretend that these people we're gonna teach them the American spirit. No, we're not. We're never going to teach them that because the Democrats are pandering them for the vote. They want another amnesty thing. They want to force. They want to force another amnesty thing. They want to do what happened with Reagan. What they did with Reagan. They when he was fucking jello-brained at the end there, they were like, oh, yeah, well, I guess all of you can have. And then California turns blue. That's the problem. And the truth of the matter is, and I think the thing that people don't really understand is that the people like this, and I don't mean Klavan specifically, but the Daily Wire, the Rush Limbaughs, the Fox News, all of these people, Glenn Beck's, they all tell you that, no, we want a conservative in there, but they make more money when there's a Democrat in there.
Of course.
They do. They always do.
You're the resistance.
They always make more money when you're the resistance. You always make more money. It's easier to pander to people. It's easier to sell your T-shirts to people. And, I'm not saying that all of those people don't actually want a conservative there. I mean, some probably do. But, there is a lot of people that don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look at this current administration. This is the first time in history where the sitting president and all the little, Trump goons and all the little Brendan Dillies of the world, they have an acting president, but they still get to present themselves as the resistance, the underdogs, because the media is talking all this shit. All these other organizations are talking all this shit. So they're getting the best of both worlds right now. Like, they're getting the president they want, and then they can sell T-shirts with his fucking likeness on it, and it's just gross, man.
To eat where you want to eat and live the way you want to live and build the business you want to live. Those are great things. And if we can show that to the world, how great they are for everybody.
No, the problem is, Andrew, nobody's coming here and starting businesses. They're moving to Minnesota. They're getting welfare, and they're sending that monthly money back to fucking Somalia and that fucking whatever that group is, whatever it is. The terrorist group.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's happening. So, no, there's not... Andrew, these Somalians and these Muslims and these other people, they're not coming here and starting a car wash and going to church on Sundays. You know what I mean? They're not learning English. This is bullshit. Mm-hmm. They're smuggling money out of this country and into the hands of terrorists.
That's exactly what's happening. And they're sitting here, and there's places like, Ilhan Omar over there, she's sitting there and loves the Sharia law stuff, or the Muslim outreach is what they call it, but that's what it is in her district. But then she's cheating with a white boy. Like, she's cheating on one of her sister husband or brother husband with a white boy,
We don't believe in that. If we believe this is something we have to hold to ourselves and cling to ourselves, then the idea isn't worth anything. The idea is not worth anything. The world as it is better. I was there. It is better this
Stop saying
way.
the idea. That's my thing. I will fire you, Andrew.
It's better this way. It's better, like you said, giving hormones to toddlers. It's better this way. This is better. It's better having trans people walking out on their streets with their dicks out, where in the 50s, if that would have happened, they would have beat them and the cops would have turned their faces. That's what would have happened. But this is better. This is better.
All right. Now, here's the thing about free speech. I am utterly for it. YouTube should never take down these alt-righters. It's offensive to me that they don't take Nick Fuentes down when he's claiming the Holocaust doesn't exist. They don't take him down, but they make Dennis Prager can't get his
videos. Stop. You see what he just did there?
Yeah. I don't want them to take him down, but it's offensive to me that they take Prager down. So what he's saying is, if you take Prager down, you should also take them down. Or he's not directly saying that, but he's basically saying all or nothing, I guess, right?
That was so... It was very quick, but yeah, you see what he did there? He was like, yeah, I don't think anyone should be deplatformed. Are you kidding me? I think they should all have a platform. But, he's denying the Holocaust, and poor Dennis Prager, his channel got struck. Okay, all right, buddy. Well, that's not saying take Dennis Prager, put Prager's videos back up. You're implying that Nick should be taken down. These motherfuckers, dude.
That's what he's implying.
It's so transparent.
It is, and he'll be happy, when Nick Fuentes. That's what'll happen, right?
Into colleges, and they just lie so outright. They restrict his videos, and he had a video about the 10 Commandments. And they asked them in Congress, why'd you restrict that video? They said, well, it mentioned murder. And Dennis said, well, how about the 9 Commandments? How would that be? I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. They're simply trying to keep reasonable right-wingers from speaking because they don't want to hear how reasonable Dennis is and how reasonable I am and how reasonable Ben is. They don't want you to hear that, but they're perfectly happy to let you hear these hate-filled guys make slurs because then you say, that's what the right is. I don't have to listen to them. Now, listen,
So what you're saying is that you're going to do to them what the left does to you, and you are going to, because it's not your brand of conservatism. Here's the thing, you idiot. Back in the day, the way it's always been, the way it's always been, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it's always been is there's always been a silent agreement, right? There's always been a silent agreement that there's going to be mainstream conservatives, and you never say it out loud. But you know that you need the kind of racist people. You kind of need the white nationalist people.
You need the really racist people.
You don't say it.
You need the Q retards.
Obviously,
like you still need them.
Right.
So you're like,
that you denounce them if you want. You could denounce them in public, but you never really go full bore, and you never do what you're doing now because you need them to win. That's the way it is. Like, you know, the left. I mean, the left does the same thing, of course. You know, the left's going to sit there and say things like, "Oh yeah, no, obviously pedophilia is wrong," but then they'll fucking defend Epstein, and you know they'll try to hide stuff because it's not popular because he has money, or like the Harvey Weinstein thing.
Yeah, or they say things like, "No, Antifa's fine. It's the black bloc guys. Those are the ones that are," and you're like, "Come on."
There is an irony here that I think the right has to understand. Here's the irony. I go and make a speech, and they take stuff that I said out of context, jokes.
Kind of like what you're doing right now with Nick.
That I made, questions that I've asked.
Kind of like the jokes that Nick made that Ben Shapiro was taking out of context, like running him over in a GTA game. He's literally trying to kill me, folks.
Kind of like the questions he asks about historic events.
He's literally trying to kill me right now, folks.
And they make it sound like I'm hateful. They especially like to make it sound as if I'm hateful toward Muslim people. Because I've questioned the ideas of Muslim people. I've questioned the tenets of Islam, some of the tenets of some kinds of Islam, and whether they contribute to violence in the Islamic world, which is endemic, okay? I've questioned the ideas of Catholics about sex, whether those contribute to the scandal in the church. I've disagreed with my evangelical friends about their attitudes towards sexuality. I've questioned.
What's weird? Why is that, Andrew?
All those things. Nobody has ever called me evangelical phobic. Nobody's called me Catholic phobic. I love those people.
When did Robert Schimmel become so boring?
He's talking so much. And people don't call me this. People don't. Yes, because people understand that you're joking. People understand that you could be nuanced. But you are when you guys talk about Nick Fuentes, you don't get the humor. You don't get the irony. You don't get that he's joking around a lot of times. You don't get that he's using humor to fucking tell his points. You don't get that. You immediately label him an alt-righter. Immediately. You're doing the same thing, man.
But you get called Islamophobic, and they take it out of context and they make you sound hateful. So when Nick Fuentes says, which is essentially what he said, oh, you took like 3 minutes or 30 seconds out of my 3-hour podcast in which I made some joke about black people in water fountains, and you take it out of context, he's making the same statement that I'm making. The only difference is he's wrong.
Did you? What? What?
But Royce?
But he's wrong?
How?
Because you're the one deciding who's wrong? Because you know his intent. Because you know what he means when he says, I get it.
This motherfucker.
You know what he's saying, Andrew. You know.
Great freeze frame, by the way. This motherfucker.
That's fucking crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's when I say it, I'm joking, but when he says it, he means it. Because what? You're putting the intent on him because you feel like it?
I'm right.
By the way, Fuentes is a spick. Let nobody forget that. Like, that's something else that needs to be pointed out when these accusations of being a white nationalist.
I prefer the term Afro-Latino.
There you go. Afro-Latino.
Nationalist.
Yes, there you go.
That's a hard argument to make, right? That is a hard argument to make. So I'm not for censoring him. I am for YAF having the absolute right not to support them, not to pay for them, not to subsidize.
All right, what about BDS? What about BDS?
You can't talk about that.
Andrew, do you support...
You can't talk about that.
No. Does Andrew support the United States government withholding aid from hurricane relief to Texas business owners unless they sign a pledge promising not to support BDS? It doesn't sound like you would support BDS's right to protest the state of Israel. So I'm just saying,
look, I don't know. I don't know if he said. I don't know if he said that. So let's. I don't know,
his company does. His bosses do. They've been circling the wagons for that for some time.
Ben Shapiro said that basically. Ken Crenshaw was saying that.
Support him, but what I am for is for all of us to be able to speak, Free speech is not shouting people down. Free speech is not trolling them out of existence so they can't say what they have to say. Free speech is speaking and listening. Free speech is letting other people speak, just like all freedom. Freedom is both letting the other person be free and letting and being free yourself.
And he was about to say and letting the other people be free, but he didn't, because that would imply that he undercut his own argument. You should let Nick Fuentes ask those questions. You should let Nick Fuentes be free. And you shouldn't be going, oh, but look what they're doing to PragerU. Look what they're doing to him. PragerU is doing fine.
Yeah.
If you don't think PragerU is doing fine, you're a fucking idiot.
Dennis Prager's doing all right.
Yeah.
So this division on the right is really upsetting to me, because I feel that we're the good guys. I feel that the people defending freedom, the people on the left are not defending freedom. As I always say, the crazy people on the right are guys on YouTube, guys in the comment section of Breitbart. Those.
You're on YouTube.
L.A. Evan in the chat is saying, in Texas, teachers won't get their contracts renewed if they don't disavow BDS.
Is that true?
I don't know, but it's worth looking into.
Huh. All right. Well, send me a link.
Davey
Those are the
Crocco
crazy
says,
people.
yo, did this dude really just say Daily Wire is a diverse platform?
On the
Do
right.
they even
The
have
crazy
one black guy there? You think they'd get one
I mean,
for optics?
maybe a writer? I don't think there's somebody with a show. Maybe I'm wrong. If there was, somebody will tell me, I'm sure.
People on the left are Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, and Adam Schiff. They're the most powerful Democrats in the country who are putting forward a socialist vision, a vision for takeover of healthcare, government takeover of healthcare, which is bad everywhere. It's always bad. A vision of corporations as evil. And I just love that about corporations being evil. I love the kids following Bernie around with their iPhones and on Google.
I know, yeah. Normie talking points for 2016. Corporations are evil, but then at the same fucking time, they start talking about how, guys, can you imagine they're censoring conservatives? You just said right now that YouTube was censoring Prager. So yeah, Google took away their motto, do no evil. That's gone now. Some corporations, I don't think explicitly go out to be evil, but the end result is that. To pretend that it's not, it's fucking retarded.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird how you're so pro corporation after your, meetings with Zuckerberg and all them and your little dinner dates, your little behind the scenes little meetings. It's kind of, corporations aren't evil when the CEOs will have you as a guest to discuss the things that are affecting your life.
And with their lattes from Starbucks going, yeah, isn't it Bernie great about how bad corporations are? It is just offensive to me. It is offensive to me that we can be tarred by connecting us to these far right wingers, but nobody tars Bernie Sanders for being a far left winger. And
What?
What are you talking about?
People do all the time.
All the time. People
All the time.
There's so many memes about him that they make fun of all the time. Are you kidding me? Yeah, of course they do. We've tarred him.
It's especially bad right now when I'm watching the guys in Hong Kong, that's blowing up. I'm watching in Iran, there are now some violent protests in Iran. People got upset because
Good thing we have those troops in Israel, though.
the gas prices went up. These are people fighting for freedom in Hong Kong. These are people, look, you never know in the Middle East whether the people who are revolting against oppression
So this guy
are
just all over
revolting
the
in
place?
Yeah, he's just kind of rambling. We could hop off of it. I mean, I think that makes the point. He went on a
That
on a
part
rant
where
there,
he
but-
brought up
Right.
Dennis Prager and Nick Fuentes in the same breath and essentially like dry snitched on the guy.
Yeah,
Piece
pretty
of
much.
shit, man.
That's exactly what he did. I don't want to talk about this Nick Fuentes guy, but why? But you should. Okay, but you are though. You are because something's happening and it's uncomfortable for you. Something's happening and you're starting to feel the pressure. Something's happening because Ben Shapiro's a young guy, right? Ben Shapiro's he's a young guy, younger than us.
Him and Nick Fuentes are going to have to deal with each other for a long time.
Yeah. So Ben Shapiro sees the writing on the wall. Ben Shapiro sees that these boomers are going to die off, the people you're selling these leftist tears mugs to, and the people that are coming up, these people, these grapers, these are going to be the people that go, shut up, fuck him, because he's going to be the new boomer.
Shut up, you worm.
Yeah, shut up. I don't believe what you're saying. And it's not a model that's sustainable. You know what I mean?